And I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay. All right, well, thank you for joining us today, Lacey.
Thank you.
Can I please get you to say and spell your first and last name and then give me your title?
Yes, ma'am. My first name is Lacey, Lacey. My last name is Epperson, Epperson. And my title, first and foremost, is I am a ambassador for Jesus. And second and foremost, I'm an advocate and activist out here in the unhoused community. I have lived experience. I recently just got permanent residency or temporary. I live in a 20-foot camper, but it's above being out in the streets, but I'm no better, no less. But I've experienced homelessness for the last, in November of 2021, I was homeless in Denver, and then I moved here October 4th of 2023, sorry. So I've lived here almost 2 years, and throughout that I've either been in the streets in my car or in my camper. Some of it has been by choice because I have a heart and passion for my brothers and sisters that are out in the streets. And I'm also the lived experience advocacy subcommittee chair. I was voted in from a group of my peers, which is a steering committee from the COC of the city of Amarillo. That's a lot, but.
It's all good.
Yeah.
So can you kind of tell me how you first got involved in volunteering and working with people experiencing homelessness?
Yes. So being unhoused, there is always a need. The transition of people that just come in, it's a constant flow of new faces. It's insane, really. It's a stigma that isn't really talked about, but somebody could show up at the door of the resource services. They could have just gotten released from prison and they've been incarcerated for the last 10 years, and this is a drop-off spot. I've seen people get dropped off in medical scrubs in a wheelchair with an inability to go to the bathroom on their very own, dropped off in no care, rhyme, or reason because this is the resource center. And there's a plethora of people could have had their house burned down. They show up here for resources. So I got first involved because I'm like, there is always a need. And if I have something to give per my faith, I'm called to do that. I would be a hypocrite in what I believe if I didn't. And so I have to be about my Father's business. So that's first and foremost why I get involved and why I'm still actively involved. And there's just, even with people, there's always a need, but in the unhoused community, it's even more desperate. So.
From the people that you've interacted with, what are some of the situations that you've seen as far as medical care that they need, but they're not able to get access to?
It's huge. It's a systemic failure. It's not, you can't really just label it with one situation. It is a systemic failure. So first and foremost, I have to say from a lived experience perspective, I am a recovering drug addict. I'm flagged in my medical charts. And so automatically you get this discrimination, you get this judgment. And I am able to articulate and carry myself a lot better than most, or some, I should say, which is a blessing. But for some that can't really advocate or stick up for themselves, there is this stigma. So if they've ever been labeled as a drug addict, okay, if they need medical care, they're not going to get treated as best as somebody that's never been openly a drug addict, right? And then also, we all know appearance says a lot, right? You get judged based off of your outward appearance. All of us do. It's just the world we live in. It's a cruel world. So if Sally over here is homeless and she hasn't showered for the last week and needs to go get treated for something, she's not going to get the appropriate care for that. So under that, I've seen people out here that are amputees. I've seen people out here, stage 4 cancer, can't get the appropriate medical care they need. I've seen people out here, cirrhosis of the liver, yellow jaundice, homeless. I've seen people out here, burn victims. I mean, I've seen people out here I think that that's the most desperate is the ones that have cancer and are really should be in some kind of hospice or something. Can't go to the bathroom appropriately, which in turn, when you can't use the bathroom appropriately, most shelters will not accommodate that because you need to have some sense of independence. And so it's a tragedy that the most desperate, destitute folks end up out here because of their most personal need. And so it's a tragedy, but all kinds of things. But again, the amputees, that's a tragedy as well. And the need for mobility devices is huge. And that is something that is normally required from donations. There is a program here, and I went and did some research independently to find out because like we just focus on like going out in social network like media or whatever, you know, like like Facebook or whatever, asking for donations. And outside of that, outside of people just graciously giving these mobility devices, the one resource that I know of, there might be more, 9 to 18 months process where if you're homeless and you broke your wheelchair, 9 to 18 months is going to seem like forever. Like this is a systemic failure. This is not okay. Yeah, and it's crazy. And then medication management, I would say too, for those that have mental health issues, a lot of the times it's sad. They shouldn't even be out here either. They can't obviously appropriately take care of themselves. They are intimidating to come up to. I won't even disregard that. But at the core, they could possibly be helped from some kind of medication management. But there comes in this free will, free choice basis. Well, if they decline any kind of medical care in a moment of asking them, then they can't be forced to go receive that, which is crazy because they say that it comes down to them saying that they're a danger to themselves or others. Well, if they're covered in their own fecal matter and haven't showered in a month and are screaming at a tree, I would assume that they're a danger to themselves, but systemically, I guess they're not. It's crazy. It's crazy.
You brought up at least one resource specifically for mobility devices, but from what you've experienced and from what you've seen from people that you volunteered with, do you think that Amarillo has the adequate amount of resources for critical care and other needs? And are the resources that we do have, could they meet their needs, but maybe there's something preventing them from being able to?
So we just live in a system where you could say red tape is the barrier that is inhibiting a lot of these folks from getting the appropriate care that they need. And do I think that Amarillo has the appropriate resources? No, I don't. They just shut down. I mean, that's public information, Senecor, which for those, I'm a recovering drug addict, and I was humbled in a recent conversation where some of these folks might only ask for help once, and they're people. And so the resources are not there. I did do a little bit of research. I know that there are some, again, I'm passionate about my faith because I'm called to be passionate about my faith. I cannot be lukewarm. And so I think that there's a complacency from the, I'm going to say, religious organizations where there's a lack of information, like there's a lack of awareness. They don't even understand or know the full need and what goes on out here, but it takes hands-on experience too. So I think that there could be more resources if some of the religious organizations stepped up and helped more than just bringing a sandwich and some clothes every weekend, which is great. I don't want to minimize that. That's more than most. But I mean, based off of some statistics that I looked up, so the point in time count of January 2025, there was 525 total. Okay, unsheltered was 299, veterans was 47, and sheltered was 226. This is public information. Okay, so and I went further on that. At least 301 religious organizations in Amarillo. Okay, so I'm not a rocket scientist, but let's just focus on the unsheltered part here, okay? There's 299, okay? So, and I did take that again a step further, so 153 Christian nonprofit organizations. So if all of the Christian nonprofits and if all of the religious organizations stepped up, they could adopt or care for at least, that would break down to less than 1% for unsheltered. That's not possible, but that's what we're talking about here statistically. And that could transform and essentially provide all of the care that one individual needs, right? Because that's not unattainable, that's doable. So it's not systemically, it's not just a organization, right? It's not just, and I'm guilty of pointing fingers, okay, until I've educated myself. It's not just a community development problem. It's not just a transformation park problem. It's not just a Guy and Sanders problem. It's a community problem because everybody that's unsheltered or unhoused is somebody's someone, right? They're somebody's person. And that's what we need to get, because over half of the United States is one life event, one paycheck, one something away from being in the same boat. And I would assume out of humility that they would want somebody to do unto them as they would, that whole metaphor, right? Do to others as you have them do unto yourself. So where have we forgotten that basic fundamental in our principles of being humans?
Do you think that because there are resources like Transformation Park, Guy on Saunders, do you think that people just think, well, it's taken care of, they don't need me? And do you think that some of the lack of awareness is because people don't want to really look at it?
Absolutely. I mean, right now, it's federally mandated, right? There is a no camping ban, federally, right? This isn't just statewide, this is federal. Okay, so right now we have to look at ourselves. A sidewalk has more rights than a human being. That's insane. And I'm not debating the trash and everything else, but it's like an onion layer. You peel back layers. Like there's a reason why these people are sitting in this garbage, because they lose hope. They lose care. Like, why should they care? Nobody cares. Why should they care? So anyways, absolutely, I think that people think that, oh, that's going to solve everything. Or why don't they go over there and use that? But then once you get, and I think that people are scared. There has been placed the seed of fear of that people that are unhoused carry diseases, or they're going to murder me, or they're going to steal my purse, or whatever. And let me tell you something, testify all day. When I was at my worst in my life, it was other people in that situation that shared all that they had and all that they could. Okay, we are a broken people, and we might steal your shoes and 5 minutes later, but we will give you our last sandwich. And I've actually watched people actually take the shoes off of their feet and give it to people. So this stigma really needs to be removed, because how many people would do that are comfortable and convenient in their life? Oh, they're good. They got all they need. It's a shame. But so I'd much rather hang out with the unhoused folks, because they're about it. Like, they know when you need something, they come together regardless of where they've come from. They don't look at each other with judgment. It's like, hey man, we're out here at our worst together. We're gonna help each other. We're gonna fight like we're 5 years old because we're at our worst together. You know what I mean? But there's this fear factor that's been placed in people's minds, and it is overstimulating. I mean, if you first walk into a homeless shelter and you've never been in that environment, it's going to be overstimulating. But you gotta step back and think about it. Okay, a lot of these people, again, the statistics is there with the lack of healthcare resources, mental health, addiction, right? Brokenness. Okay, this person, again, you could have just lost your whole life in a fire. You're not going to be acting your best, as none of us would, right? So you get all that energy together, it's a lot. But at the core, we all just want to be loved. So how can I love a human being better today than I did yesterday? That's what I It's all about love for me. I might not be able to provide them with the world, but I can provide them with love. And I have transportation, so as an advocate, hey, I can help you with this. Hey, I can help you with this. I can't help you with this, but I can call about this. And this, unfortunately, is way bigger than me, so let's talk about it like you guys are doing now. And it's a systemic issue, but it's also a people issue, right?
You'd kind of, well, I mean, I'm not very good with my words, so if I kind of stumble, that's on me.
It's okay.
In talking about the need for some of these critical resources, either based on your own experience or what you've seen from other people, what kind of impact would it have if people could get the care they need?
It's a quality of life. I mean, it's just building back up that hope that's been broken. Because when you are rejected time and time and time again, you get broken, as any of us would. So I think that impact would push people to want to step further, right, in whatever circumstance that is. Because right now, being unhoused is already a very hopeless situation, and you have the world judging you. It's the facts, okay? Most of us, if we have a place, and the separating difference is 4 walls, right? I can go home and do my dirty business in my own privacy, or when you're unhoused, you have the whole world there to point fingers and judge you at your worst. Okay, so that brings you to a hopeless place. And then there's things that have happened, right, where, again, it's a systemic issue. There's federal money cuts right now, right? It's really impacting, so that brings on another layer of hopelessness. So for people to get their access to the critical care things that they need, that's just a stair step to success, right? So that's how I look at it, because, hey, and I also look at quality, not quantity, right? You might not be able to help 99% of the people, right? But if you could help one, and that's the mathematics that God put for us, right? 99 for the one, right? So, because then eventually it's going to be another one and another one and another one, right? So that's doable, that's attainable, right? And individually as a community, we could do it if we all came together with the same common heart and mind, and that's what it's going to take too, is a heart change, right? I think our country needs a heart transplant for how we see and think of people that are unhoused, because of what the media and other things have fed to us, right? And with us, with cameras in front of faces of people, like, again, you take off your shoes and put on their shoes and see if you can't handle it for 5 minutes. No.
What does it mean for someone who is unhoused to be seen and receive care that other people are not giving them? So you go to Transformation Park and someone says, yeah, let me help you. I don't know, but let me help you.
Yeah. I think that it values them as a person, because most of the time I have a lot of my friends, they hate themselves. They hate themselves for what they've done. They hate themselves for what they keep doing. They live in this bubble of lies when we all just want to be loved, right? So to love someone at their darkest is the principle that, again, God gave us. He loves us all at our darkest. So I think names are important, getting to know people by name, because then we're all named for a reason, right? Hey, Sally, how are you doing today? I love you. Can I give you a hug? You know what I mean? Just that simplicity, and that sometimes can impact somebody so much, because we'll just get in the shell, right? And this is darkness, man, darkness. And that light could just be being seen. And then more comes to that, right? Because there's been an ingenuine approach to people that are unhoused. So, and the hopelessness in the system, you end up building a wall, right? And so in order to take that down, you got to be genuine about what you're doing. Okay, why are you here? You know, whoever you are you here to just feed me? Okay, you and a dozen plus other people, go ahead and give me my food, thank you. You know, are you here to bring me my clothes? You know, it becomes an instant gratification sense in that sense, because it's a deed instead of a love and action thing, right? It's easy to go make a dozen sandwiches, hand them out the window, which again, I'm not minimizing, that is a need, but to take the time and get to know people on an intimate level is what we all desire. We all desire to be seen. We all desire to be heard. We all desire to have purpose, and we all desire to be valued.
Do you have anything else? Okay. Is there anything else that you want to add or anything that you want to talk about that we haven't today?
I just want to share this one scripture. Okay, Proverbs 14:31. Whoever oppresses the poor shows contempt for their maker, but whoever is kind to the needy honors God. We're all needy, just in different ways. So I just think, yeah, that's what I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much for meeting with us today.